The book of Genesis revolves around the accounts of two brothers, Cain and Abel, Abraham and Haran, Ishmael and Isaac, Jacob and Esau, Judah and Joseph, Manasseh and Ephraim. Up until Manasseh and Ephraim, the relationship between the brothers was adversarial. With the birth of Manasseh and Ephraim, the relationship was cooperative and supportive. This role of cooperative brothers continues into the book of Exodus. In fact, these two brothers, Aaron and Moses, are the central human characters in the book of Exodus. We tend to focus on Moses as the agent of God's deliverance of the children of Israel from Egypt, but what role does his brother Aaron play? What is their joint role, and what is the underlying message God is communicating through this continuance of the accounts of two brothers? I'm Brenda Cathcart, and this is Words from Our Father. As the book of Exodus opens, the children of Israel are afflicted and in bondage in Egypt. In spite of their suffering, they were fruitful, their numbers multiplying so quickly that Pharaoh was frightened at the potential strength of those numbers. As the suffering of the children of Israel grew worse, two sons were born to Jochebed and Amram of the tribe of Levi. Exodus 6:20. Now Amram took for himself Jochebed, his father's sister, as wife, and she bore him Aaron and Moses, and the years of the life of Amram were 137. As is often the case, there is a message in the names Levi, Amram, Jochebed, Aaron, and Moses. The name Levi, number 3878, in Strong's Concordance means attached or joined. When Leah gave birth to Levi, she declared that at last her husband would become emotionally attached to her. Genesis 29:34. She conceived again and bore a son and said, "Now this time my husband will become attached to me because I have borne him 3 sons." Therefore his name was called Levi. Aaron and Moses' parents were Amram and Jochebed, both of the tribe of Levi. The name Amram, number 6019, means a high people. The name Jochebed, number 3115, means Jehovah glorified. The name Aaron is not defined in Strong's lexicon. However, the Brown Driver Briggs lexicon defines the meaning of Aaron as light bringer. Easton's Bible names and other lexicons define Aaron as meaning teacher, mountain of strength, or illuminator. As a teacher, Aaron would bring the light of Torah to his people. Moses' name was given to him by Pharaoh's daughter when she pulled him out of the Nile River. His name, number 4872, means drawing out or rescued. However, the name his mother gave him at birth was probably Tovia, from the declaration Jochebed made at his birth that the child was goodly, or, in Hebrew, Tov. Exodus 2:2. And the woman conceived and bare a son, and when she saw him that he was a goodly child, she hid him 3 months. Amram and Jochebed had an older child, a daughter named Miriam. Her name, number 4813, means rebelliously. Jochebed rebelled against Pharaoh's edict and saved the life of her son Moses. Miriam was the older sister Jochebed instructed to watch over Moses as he floated in the basket in the Nile River. An alternate definition of Miriam's name is bitter, from the Hebrew word mar, number 4751, meaning bitter. Chabad.org follows this origin of the name Miriam, explaining that she was named Miriam because she was born during the period of bitter bondage in Egypt. So, what do all these names tell us about these brothers? The bitterness of bondage is relieved when a high people are attached to the glory of God. A light bringer or teacher comes who is good and will bring about the rescue of his people. What do we know about Aaron and Moses' joint role? A literary structure often found in the Bible is that of a chiasm. A chiasm is a symmetric writing pattern that expresses an idea in reverse order around a central theme. A chiasm located right after the genealogy of Aaron and Moses reveals their purpose. Exodus 6:26 and 27. These are the same Aaron and Moses to whom the Lord said, "Bring out the children of Israel from the land of Egypt according to their armies." These are the ones who spoke to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to bring out the children of Israel from Egypt. These are the same Moses and Aaron. This chiasm contains 3 layers. The outer layer is a declaration of their names, first given in birth order with Aaron listed first, and ending with a restatement of their names given in preeminence of their role with Moses listed first. The second layer is the parallel statements that they are the ones God commanded to bring the children of Israel out of Egypt. Right in the middle is the statement that these are the ones who spoke to Pharaoh, king of Egypt. This is the center of the chiasm. Aaron and Moses and Aaron were selected to bring the children of Israel out of Egypt. They will go together to speak to Pharaoh. How wonderful it is to have a brother at one's side. As we continue, we will see that this chiasm is actually included within a larger chiasm. We're familiar with Moses' story. He was taken in by Pharaoh's daughter and educated in Pharaoh's household. When he was 40 years old, he fled Egypt after killing an Egyptian taskmaster who was abusing 2 Hebrew slaves. He went to Midian, where he spent 40 years tending the sheep of his father-in-law Jethro. While tending sheep, God appeared to him in the burning bush and declared that he had selected him to deliver the children of Israel. Exodus 3:10 and 11. Come now, therefore, and I will send you to Pharaoh, that you may bring my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt. But Moses said to God, Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh, and that I should bring the children of Israel out of Egypt? Moses objected that he wasn't worthy or perhaps capable of such an honor. Moses had not been able to relieve the suffering of his people while he was in Egypt. He killed one harsh taskmaster, but instead of embracing him, the 2 Hebrews he saved from the taskmaster rejected him. God persisted, stating that he would be with Moses, and further, that God would give him signs to perform to prove that God had sent him. Moses persisted in his objections on the grounds that he wouldn't know what to say and how to say the words. Exodus 4:10 through 13. Then Moses said to the Lord, O my Lord, I am not eloquent, neither before nor since you have spoken to your servant, but I am slow of speech and slow of tongue. So the Lord said to him, Who has made man's mouth? Or who makes the mute, the deaf, the seeing, or the blind? Have not I the Lord? Now therefore go, and I will be with your mouth, and teach you what you shall say. But he said, O my Lord, please by the hand of whomever else you may send. Even though the Lord reassured Moses that God would give him the words to say, Moses begged God for the 3rd time to send someone else. This angered God. God declared that Moses' brother Aaron would speak for Moses. Exodus 4:14 through 16. So the anger of the Lord was kindled against Moses, and he said, Is not Aaron the Levite your brother? I know that he can speak well. And look, he is also coming out to meet you. When he sees you, he will be glad in his heart. Now you shall speak to him and put the words in his mouth, and I will be with your mouth and with his mouth, and I will teach you what you shall do. So he shall be your spokesman to the people, and he himself shall be as a mouth for you, and you shall be to him as God. God revealed to Moses that, even as they were speaking on the mountain, Aaron was already on his way to meet him. In fact, Aaron was anticipating their meeting with gladness in his heart. We also know that Aaron was gifted in his speech, and had probably already been used by God to speak to their people. So, how did God communicate his anger against Moses? The Stone Edition Chumash relates the Jewish sage Rashi's opinion that Moses would have been the high priest, but because of his rejection of the role to speak to Pharaoh, Aaron became the high priest instead. Aaron was born a Levite and was intended to remain one, while Moses was elevated to be Cohen. Now, because of Moses' constant attempts to evade the mission, Their positions would be reversed, with Moses remaining a Levite and Aaron becoming the Cohen. Instead of Moses hearing directly from God and relaying the message to Pharaoh, Moses would relay it to Aaron, who would speak to Pharaoh. God explained that Aaron would be the mouth, and Moses would be as God, telling him what to say. So Moses went to his father-in-law to seek permission to return to Egypt. After receiving the permission and blessing of Jethro, Moses returned to Mount Sinai to await the arrival of Aaron, whom God had sent to meet him. Exodus 4:27-29. And the Lord said to Aaron, "Go into the wilderness to meet Moses." So he went and met him on the mountain of God and kissed him. So Moses told Aaron all the words of the Lord who had sent him, and all the signs which he had commanded him. Then Moses and Aaron went and gathered together all the elders of the children of Israel. The two brothers, united in purpose, returned to Egypt. Their first act was to gather the leaders of the children of Israel. With Aaron as a spokesman, Moses performed the signs that God had given to Moses to use to prove that God had sent them. Exodus 4:30-31. And Aaron spoke all the words which the Lord had spoken to Moses. Then he did the signs in the sight of the people. So the people believed, and when they heard that the Lord had visited the children of Israel and that he had looked on their affliction, then they bowed their heads and worshipped. Moses and Aaron then gained an audience with Pharaoh. Their demands to Pharaoh that he should let the children of Israel leave Egypt to hold a feast to the Lord resulted in even greater hardship being placed on the Hebrews. This enraged the elders, and they blamed Moses and Aaron for the increased suffering of the people. Exodus 5:20-21. Then as they came out from Pharaoh, they met Moses and Aaron, who stood there to meet them. And they said to them, "Let the Lord look on you and judge, because you have made us abhorrent in the sight of Pharaoh and in the sight of his servants, to put a sword in their hand to kill us." Although God had warned Moses that Pharaoh would not let them go, and that he would strengthen Pharaoh's heart so Pharaoh would not back down, Moses did not foresee that things would get worse for the Hebrews before God brought deliverance. Exodus 5:22-23. So Moses returned to the Lord and said, "Lord, why have you brought trouble on this people? Why is it you have sent me? For since I came to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has done evil to this people. Neither have you delivered your people at all." God assured Moses that everything was going according to his plan. Pharaoh's rejection of their demand allowed God to act and bring about deliverance on his terms. Exodus 6:1. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Now you shall see what I will do to Pharaoh. For with a strong hand he will let them go, and with a strong hand he will drive them out of his land." This introduces the broader chiasm that includes the chiasm mentioned earlier, with the central theme that Aaron and Moses would go together to speak to Pharaoh. Although everything was now set up just the way God wanted it to bring deliverance, Moses doubted his ability to lead. As a result of Pharaoh making their servitude harder, the elders were no longer listening to Moses. How could he expect that Pharaoh would listen to him? Exodus 6:12. And Moses spoke before the Lord, saying, "The children of Israel have not heeded me. How then shall Pharaoh heed me? For I am of uncircumcised lips." The outer layer of the chiasm is Moses' declaration that he has uncircumcised lips, and Pharaoh will not pay attention to his words. However, God didn't accept Moses' doubt, bringing us to the next level in the chiasm. God issued a command to both Moses and Aaron to bring his people out of Egypt. Exodus 6:13. Then the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron and gave them a command for the children of Israel and for the Pharaoh king of Egypt to bring the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. Now we come to the center of the chiasm, which consists of two parts. The first part is the genealogy of Levi, revealing that Aaron and Moses are sons of Levi. The second part of the central theme is actually the earlier chiasm, revealing Aaron and Moses' mission to bring the children of Israel out of Egypt. We now reverse out of the chiasm with the Lord telling Moses to command Pharaoh to let the people go. The chiasm concludes with Moses once more stating that he has uncircumcised lips and that Pharaoh will not listen to him. Moses again expresses that he did not have confidence that Pharaoh would listen to Moses. Exodus 6:28 through 30. And it came to pass on the day the Lord spoke to Moses in the land of Egypt, that the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, I am the Lord. Speak to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, all that I say to you. But Moses said before the Lord, Behold, I am of uncircumcised lips. How shall Pharaoh heed me? In summary, the form of this chiasm consists of the outer layer, found in verses 12 and 30, that Moses states that he has uncircumcised lips and Pharaoh won't listen to him. The next layer, found in verses 13 and 29, is God's command to speak to Pharaoh to bring the children of Israel out of Egypt. The center of the chiasm is the revelation of Aaron and Moses as the sons of Levi and the ones God chose to lead the children of Israel out of Egypt. In spite of Moses' lack of eloquence, in spite of Pharaoh's refusal to hear, God chose Aaron and Moses to act together to bring the children of Israel out of Egypt. This is the central theme of both chiasms, one nested inside the other. God responds to Moses' claim that Pharaoh won't listen to him by agreeing with Moses that Pharaoh won't listen. However, that sets up the opportunity for God to bring judgment against Pharaoh and his gods. Exodus 7:4 and 5. But Pharaoh will not heed you, so that I may lay my hand on Egypt and bring my armies and my people, the children of Israel, out of the land of Egypt by great judgments. And the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord, when I stretch out my hand on Egypt and bring out the children of Israel from among them. Together, Aaron and Moses obey the word of the Lord. From now on, they will express no doubt as to the mission that God had called them to do. Exodus 7:6 and 7. Then Moses and Aaron did so, just as the Lord commanded them, so they did. And Moses was 80 years old, and Aaron 83 years old, when they spoke to Pharaoh. And thus begins the battle between the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, and the gods of Egypt. Moses and Aaron will go into Pharaoh together. Moses will speak the words to Aaron, and Aaron will relay them to Pharaoh. It will seem to Pharaoh as if Moses is God and Aaron is his prophet. Exodus 7:1 and 2. So the Lord said to Moses, See, I have made you as God to Pharaoh, and Aaron your brother shall be your prophet. You shall speak all that I command you, and Aaron your brother shall speak to Pharaoh to send the children of Israel out of his land. The first sign they were to give to Pharaoh is to turn Aaron's staff into a crocodile. Exodus 7:9. When Pharaoh speaketh unto you, saying, Give for yourselves a wonder, then thou hast said unto Aaron, Take thy rod, and cast before Pharaoh, it becometh a monster. The Hebrew word translated as monster in the Young's literal translation as is the word tanin, number 8577, meaning a marine or land monster. In modern Hebrew, tanin means crocodile. Most of the English translations translate the word as snake or serpent, which seemingly connects this back to the sign Moses was to perform for the children of Israel, turning his staff into a serpent and then picking it up by the tail as it turns back into a staff. However, the Hebrew word for serpent is nakash, not tanin. Aaron threw down his staff, and it became a crocodile, the monster of the Nile River. Somehow Pharaoh's magicians are able to replicate this miracle, so there are crocodiles crawling all around. However, Aaron's crocodile consumes the other crocodiles. Exodus 7:11 and 12. And Pharaoh also calleth for wise men, and for sorcerers, and the scribes of Egypt. They also with their flashings do so, and they cast down each his rod, and they become monsters, and the rod of Aaron swalloweth their rods. In ancient Egypt, the crocodile was the god Sobek, which is associated with the power of Pharaoh, fertility, and military prowess. Aaron and Moses challenged Pharaoh's power and military might. This sets up the judgments on Egypt that will follow with the 10 plagues. These plagues culminate in the death of the firstborn, including Pharaoh's firstborn. God gave the two brothers, Aaron and Moses, the task of working together to bring the children of Israel out of Egypt. As God's chosen men, they would bring God's judgment on Pharaoh and deliver the children of Israel out of Egypt. David wrote a psalm, preserved for us as Psalm 133, proclaiming that it is good when brothers dwell together in unity. He compares it to the image of Moses anointing Aaron's head as he inaugurates him as the first high priest of Israel. Aaron, as the high priest, would act as mediator between God and the people and teach them how to live. Together, priest and king, they would lead the children of Israel to the promised land. These are the same Aaron and Moses. I'm Brenda Cathcart for Moed Ministries International. Shalom and be blessed.